welcome to another episode of the Farr Show, where I am Damian Farr, and tonight we're talking about... Well, come on, do you read the titles before you click the dang video or look at the thumbnail? Seriously, why do I have to say it every time? So it is No Pants November. Well, it is December, but I said that we would do this one as No Pants November as well, so let's just quickly get this out of the way. Almost took all the pants off. So, the Nike underwear are back. Oh, you can't even see them there. The Nike underwear are back. So, let's start doing this. Let's start talking about Marvel's Phase 4, the grander picture. I don't know what I'm calling the video exactly yet. So, that's awkward. So, let's start talking about Guardians of the Galaxy here. The holiday special. I'd give it an FA to start with here. Directed and written by James Gunn. The cast is... Just think Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the cast. Except they had Maria Bajlov as Cosmo the Space Dog. And then the other big one in here is Kevin Bacon as Kevin Bacon. Pretty much those are the only ones that aren't original Guardians of the Galaxy members, so I assume you know who the Guardians of the Galaxy are. The plot is really the Guardians go to Earth to celebrate Christmas. And the musical numbers are just so bad that I just couldn't stand this. So, I don't want to throw it under the bus too much, but I think it's nowhere near as good as Werewolf by Night. That's 100% certain. I think we can all agree upon that. But I think it's more of a lower MCU thing at this point. So, let's start talking about the MCU Phase 4 as a whole here and start ranking them. I don't have numbers near them for some reason, but let's start with the lowest thing on the list here, and that's Eternals. I gave it an F, and I really felt it should have been a show. That's my biggest note here. I felt like this could have been an amazing show, that if they didn't cram it all into a movie, this could have been an amazing show. But they crammed it all into a movie, and well, it didn't work. The cast was all amazing, don't get me wrong. I think a limited series run once again would be perfect for this show. I said this in the Eternals video. If you do a half an episode about one specific Eternal, and then the overall plot of the Eternals, and then, you know, spread it so the first half is that character specifically, and then how they relate to the bigger picture is the last, like, half. I think that would be amazing. Maybe I should work for Marvel at this point, but that's not important. I then put What If as an F as well. I feel like it's What If Could Have Been. Or What It Could Have Been, but what if it could have been? I mean, this is a show that I wanted to like, but just something was off about it. I think the animation kind of drew me off as well. I went to college for animation, and we've talked about this a couple of times, but I felt like the animation was just off-putting at points. And then the story, like, the fact that you tie them in at the last episode or two just kind of screws the idea, I think, in a way, that it's just kind of, like, unconnected, but they're all connected, and I understand that that's probably for Phase 5 setup, but still, come on. Then we got Miss Marvel. We're at the FA shows. Honestly, this one I just thought was kind of boring. And the reason I think it was boring is because you already kind of had a fangirl-guy, that being Haley Steinfeld in Hawkeye. You also had Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So I feel like you already had that. Now you got Miss Marvel in there as well, and you're kind of like, you're doing too much of those at this point. So I think it's just kind of a forgettable show. Not saying it's bad once again, it's just forgettable. I don't even remember what happened in the show. And I know what that sounds like. That sounds terrible. Black Widow, I got an FA as well. I just said little too late. Because if this movie was released before Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, it could have been, I think I would have put it in as an FAR as well then. Like, cut out the post-credit scene, and then you got a great movie, actually. Cut out the post-credit scene, and you got a great movie to go before Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, but, you know, whatever works, I guess. I got She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Really, I put down here the ending episode was amazing. The rest of the show was hit or miss. I really like Daredevil. I don't think this is Daredevil from the Netflix show, but still really liked it. Still would say it's a good show. Overall, I'd say it's an FA. It's just one of those situations where this show, they made the joke about it, but it was made by the cameos, and that's completely true here. It wasn't a show made by the core cast, even though I wanted to like it to an extent here. Then we got Thor: Love and Thunder, which I put down one great scene. Thor: Love and Thunder had one great scene, and if you've seen Thor: Love and Thunder, you know what I'm talking about. The black and white scene with a little bit of color. The rest of the movie, oof. I think Chris Hemsworth also said on record, pretty much, he doesn't want to work with Taika Waititi anymore. If they want him back for more Thor, he wants to do another route. I think you had dramatic Thor already, which the first one was good. The second one was not good. Then you had comedy Thor, which was Thor Ragnarok and Love and Thunder. So, I feel ya. I feel like Infinity War and Endgame also kind of do dramatic Thor to an extent. And then Avengers and Age of Ultron kind of do dramatic Thor to comedy Thor a little bit better, honestly, but that's just me. Then we got I Am Groot, which this one I just kind of threw here because it's, I don't know where you'd rate this, honestly. It's not really a show. Honestly, I would just put it with the holiday special more than anything here. Maybe group them together in one, because this doesn't feel like anything. I understand it's shorts, but come on. I think it was just kind of a thing. 1 or 2 episodes was good. The 3 or 4 or 5 was alright. But the Rocket Raccoon little show up thing was kind of dumb, in my opinion. But who knows? Maybe they'll come back here. It's probably due to the fact that Rocket Raccoon looked like crap. So, then we go on to Moon Knight, which is the last FA show. I feel like with this one, it had a great beginning and a lackluster ending. Like, I feel like this movie, or the show, excuse me, could have been amazing, but it was one of those shows where the first couple episodes, they got your interest, and you're like, what's happening? What's going on? I would compare it to WandaVision in that case, where you just kept wanting to see what was happening after the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, honestly. If you skip the first 2, it's best show. But I think, personally, it could have been amazing overall, but I think there was some flop points here that I don't really want to go into more. It's just kind of, once again, a show that was made. I don't really know how to say it other than that. Before we get into FARs, I think the best way to describe this is this thing, it seems like Marvel was spread too much, honestly, is the biggest thing I noticed from this, is you're doing movies, and then you're doing TV shows, and you're spreading too much now. I think, honestly, the way it worked is with the Netflix shows being still continuity, but not continuity as well in a weird way, where nobody interacts with the movies. I think that was great. But now it feels like you gotta watch every show to an extent, but then also, not all the shows and movies are good anymore. Before, they used to be really good with 1 or 2, misses here and there, but now it's just kind of like, alright, it's all average for the most part. So, then we got Black Panther Wakanda Forever, FAR. I think, honestly, the only thing that ruined it for me, and I said it in the Black Panther Wakanda Forever video, is they kept referencing Chadwick Boseman just a hair too much. And now I'm going to spoil it, so if you haven't seen it, don't watch this part. The ending could have been made so much better if they didn't just keep bringing up his passing. I understand, they were all friends with him, they wanted to do him justice, but the opening before the Marvel Studios logo and the Marvel Studios logo, perfect. Afterwards, and continuing to reference it, kind of just got to the point where it's like, I see that you want to do well by him, but at the same time, come on, please. And then the ending was indirectly spoiled that he has a son. And it's like, if you wouldn't have beat me over the head with that he is gone, this could have been a really impactful moment, in my opinion. But that's only my opinion. I'm not an expert in any situation or any form of the word. Let's go to the next one, which is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Honestly, I put here generic action, but the chemistry between Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie was so good that I couldn't not help but watch it and love the show. That's where the shield is from, actually. Is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's the shield from the show. It's plastic, but it looks metalish, honestly, so I put it there. So I thought it was pretty good. I think then we got Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Story-wise, it was just kind of another generic Marvel movie, but I think the way they did the fight scenes, they were easily the best fight scenes in any MCU movie by far. So I think that was a great thing. I think the fight and the spectacle of the movie overshot the story, which is okay in some cases, as long as you do it well, and they did it well here. Then we got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This movie I personally loved as well. I think it was better than the original Doctor Strange, personally, but I know that a lot of people are hit or miss on it. So I think it was just more... I like the Sam Raimi-isms, even though I'm not a huge fan of Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. I like Sam Raimi as a director. I think there's better Spider-Man movies than 1, 2, and 3. Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Well, 2, not as much, but Amazing Spider-Man 1. And then every MCU Spider-Man movie has been amazing, which we'll get to in just a second. Then I got WandaVision, and I know what you're thinking, Damien, you put WandaVision this low? I mean, it's pretty high up in my opinion. I mean, there's only 4 things above it. I think that's pretty good. And the reason I put it down here so low is, if you didn't include the first 2 episodes, I think it'd be an FARR. And probably the best Marvel show by far. But the first 2 episodes just kind of felt like they dragged on. And I get that the humor and everything was supposed to feel like a 50s and 60s comedy, like sitcom, but it was kind of... I didn't like it. That's the best way to describe it. Those first 2 episodes put a bad taste in my mouth, and then the rest of the episodes were really good, actually. They kept me wanting more. So that was cool. Then we got Loki, where I said probably the best show, and I say that because there isn't really a throwaway episode in my opinion, where the first 2 episodes of WandaVision are throwaway, but I think it's probably one of the better shows that they've made, and I'm excited for season 2 because it's the only one that's got a season 2 other than What If? What if every show got a season 2, honestly? Well, WandaVision isn't getting a season 2, but that's not important. I thought it was great. I loved it. I'm excited to see it, or see season 2. I think it's 2023, actually, so that's cool. We got Werewolf by Night, which I give an FARR. The specials were looking good. This special was so damn good. This made me excited for Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special, even though I thought the holiday special wouldn't be good. This made me excited, and boy, did Guardians not live up to the hype, but this is so good. This is arguably one of the best things Marvel's put out with WandaVision, if you don't include the first 2 episodes. But there's a couple of things that personal bias of mine put them higher, so let's get to them. Hawkeye. We'll just stop here and stare at each other for a second, because I know there's going to be a lot of hate in the comments, if anybody actually comments. Okay, so Hawkeye. Haley Steinfeld bias here, but I like the action, I like the comedy, I do like the chemistry. It doesn't feel as generic action show as Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I really like Haley Steinfeld. I jokingly say she's my future ex-wife, so I gotta put this right here. Then, I've saved it for last. I assume you know what it is if you've, thought about what I've said at this point. Spider-Man No Way Home, I give an FARR, mixing the past and the future. You get the past 2 Spider-Mans, you get the current Spider-Man. I mean, he is going to be Spider-Man for the near future too, so you get both. You get the best of both worlds, as Hannah Montana would say. So, I think Spider-Man No Way Home is easily the best thing that Marvel's put out in Phase 2. And I think, unlike some of these other shows where they rely on some nostalgia, I think this one worked. Doctor Strange was kind of hit or miss with some of the nostalgia parts, but this was great. So, tell me in the comments below, what do you think of the MCU Phase 4? Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and have a far off night.